Woo! Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Sex, Drugs, and Soul. I'm here today. My microphone just fell down, and that's kind of how I'm feeling a little bit right now, too. I'm coming off of what I told Leola is a Hunter S. Thompson style weekend, or where he was my spirit animal, and I can't get this thing to stay. We're back in business. And I took this 1906 genius pill. So it's giving me a little cotton mouth and flutteries, but I'm so excited to have my teacher on today. She's also a bestselling author. She's on the podcast or podcast host of Talk Tantra To Me. And what else do we want to go into?
You were on that podcast too.
Yeah.
Talk Tantra To Me.
Yeah.
It was a great episode.
From Sugar Baby to Pleasure Priestess.
Yeah, such a good title. I think I was on this podcast too, but before you had it in person, which was great. So we kind of laid the groundwork.
Yeah, it's your second time.
Yeah.
I like it better in person. Gives more of a better, I don't know, just level of presence for me.
It does. And I really like the colors and the vibe that you put in here. It matches your branding perfectly.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Thank you. I'm hoping to get some sponsors. That's why I have this lovely Hi-Yo can sitting here. I'm going to reach out to them and be like, look how good.
Look at this.
Look how good you look. Oh, so I've been loving seeing what you posted online recently, and I'd love to explore that. But first, I'm going to ask you what's turning you on in life right now, or what's making you feel the most alive.
Yeah. I love this question. So I am creating life right now, which is cool. I'm 13 weeks pregnant. So that makes you feel pretty fucking alive, I gotta say. It also feels many things. I don't even know where to start with that. But it's also really challenging, and I think that it's in those moments of that you can feel the most alive, that there can be a portal into such a deep level of presence, like full vulnerability. A couple hours ago, I was sobbing in my husband's lap and feeling the deep well of fear and sadness in my body. And it was ooh, can I really go into that and really feel that? Because only someone that's as alive, that's fully present in this moment can go there. And what a gift that is. So that's a beautiful meditation practice. But I would say what's turning me on the most in this season is making out with my husband, for sure. There are lots of ups and downs in pregnancy, and there are many positive side effects and many negative side effects. But one of my favorite positive side effects is kissing my husband. Yesterday we were kissing and I was like, it's different. It's so different when I'm pregnant. I don't know. And I asked him, I was like, is it different for you? And he was like, not really. I was like, okay, it's just me and my hormones. But yeah, it's a nice little injection of oxytocin and serotonin for me, which it always was. But maybe, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's his DNA swirling inside of me reacting or what. But that is really delicious in this season.
Yeah,
So.
I was curious if it had impacted your libido in some way.
So they say that the second trimester is the sexy trimester. And that's where I technically started that trimester this week. Thus far, it has not been my experience. I've been more sexual or horny at all. But the first trimester, for a lot of women, you're feeling pretty ill. It feels like you're recovering for me, it's felt like I've been recovering from a stomach flu for 2 months.
Oh.
And it's just not the time that you feel the most sexual. But we've also had some great intimate moments, and we have a really beautiful intimate practice that we do multiple times a week that isn't focused on penetrative sex or creating an orgasm. It's really about us just connecting and getting our bodies together, and that's been really good. So we'll see. Also, they say if you're having a boy, you get more sexual because you have all the testosterone in your body. So, and I'm having a girl. So
That's interesting.
yeah.
Do you all have a name picked out?
We do.
Okay.
I'm not going to share it. But
you're good.
I actually mentioned it in Pleasure Priestess. But the last time we were pregnant.
Okay.
So you can sleuth and find out, but I'm not going to say it on the podcast.
Totally get and respect that. I'd love to share the connective exercise. I think, is it the same one you dropped in the group chat? Okay, yeah, I'd love to share that with the people tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called the 3-minute game, which is based on, and it comes from the lineage of the Wheel of Consent, which is an amazing body of work. But it's basically a really short and powerful exercise that's a dyadic exercise. So it's a coupled exercise. But you just get so much juice out of it for how little effort it takes. And I mean, time and time again, you come out the other side feeling so nourished, both partners too. And the reason that is because the exercise is set up so that both people really get an opportunity to express what they could really benefit from in that moment, whether it is something more sexy and sexual or something more platonic or sensual or anywhere in between. So it's 4 rounds of 3 minutes. It's called the 3-minute game, but there's actually 4 rounds. So 4 times 3, 12 minutes. I would say it takes 15 minutes because you've got some time in between each round. But I mean, 15 minutes, like everyone says, not everyone, a lot of married couples, especially if they as they have kids and as time goes on, intimacy falls to the wayside because life is just so full and it's hard to make time. But you can make time for 15 minutes, right? So that's why I love this exercise is it's short and it packs a punch at the same time. But essentially, the first 2 rounds, each partner asks the question, what would you like to receive from me for the next 3 minutes? So you get to think about, as the receiver in that moment, what is going to be the most nourishing or enlivening for me in this moment? And so some days I say, I would like a foot massage, or I would like for you to tickle my back, or I would like you to stare into my eyes and give me affirmations for 3 minutes. Especially if I'm feeling particularly drained, undernourished, or just out of my body and need to get into my body. But other days, I'm like really ready to dive right into some sensual, sexy action, and I might request him to go down on me for 3 minutes, which is also fun because 3 minutes doesn't sound like a lot of time, and it does go by really fast, but it kind of also creates this like contained teasing energy. And it's also nice because in those 3-minute increments, you fully go in, like you fully commit more than you might normally because you know it's 3 minutes and there's a timer that's going to go off. So I really like it. So you do 1 round of each person getting to receive what they want for 3 minutes. Then the last 2 rounds, each partner asks, what would you like to do to me for the next 3 minutes? What would you like to do to me for the next 3 minutes? So this is the opportunity for each partner to feel into, how could I interact with this person in a way that gives me pleasure? So this could look like, I really want to slap your ass and give you some spankings for 3 minutes, or I just want to squeeze your boobies, or I'm ravenous for your cock. And it doesn't have to be sexual. It could also be, I did for my husband, I was like, I would love to just do like a pressure point massage on your head for 3 minutes. Like that sounds like chill for me, but also like a way that I could really support you. And I know that he likes that. So, so yeah, that's the second round. You each get a chance to ask that question. So yeah, that's the 3-minute game. We do it right now. We're doing it 3 times a week. So we're doing it Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And it's just whenever we get into bed for the night, we don't have like a specific time. Sometimes it leads to more intimacy. Sometimes it leads to penetrative sex. I would say more than half the time it doesn't. But what it has done is it's really fortified our connection in this season where a lot is shifting and changing for us physically, emotionally, energetically, spiritually. And it's also created more openings for us to connect outside of that time as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
I might try it out this weekend. I'm going to just a little getaway to Bastrop to go to the painted porch with my new boo thing. We're going to see it. Yeah.
Bastrop's nice.
Yeah.
Bastrop.
We get a little Airbnb or hotel, I guess, if it doesn't freeze over there. And we want to go to like the bookstore and stay there forever. And then I'll introduce this game.
Oh,
And
great.
maybe some mushies.
That's
But,
perfect. And you
yeah.
can also do it as like the 5-minute game or the 20-minute game or whatever, however you want to
Yeah.
adapt it. I'm always like trying to like negotiate, like, let's do 5 minutes. But my husband's a very like, let's not, like, we can always do more after, just like chill. So anyways, but it depends on what kind of works for you and your relationship and how much time you have. But it's a really great warm-up activity, and it's also a really great standalone activity.
Yeah, I love it. And it's so simple to do. Okay, so and you said something about spanking, so that kind of spurred. I'm like, I kind of want to go into the God as a dom or God as kinky stuff that I've been seeing like in my inbox from you or on your Instagram. And I'm like, yes, please show me how to surrender more. Spank me, God.
We
Yes.
have to surrender more as we like rip our chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to start off, I have been the most resistant person to surrender. So I just want to lay that
Mm,
groundwork. I am someone that still is developing a relationship with that concept. And I think that a lot of that comes from growing up in an environment where I felt so out of control and so unsafe. And so to me, to surrender would be a way that I would be disempowered and a way like this is how I intellectualized surrender for so many years especially to God. Like, I was like, why would I give my power to some white man in the sky? Like, I don't fully trust authority because all of the authority in my life has kind of let me down in one, not
mm,
all of the authority, but a lot of authority in my life has let me down in one way or another. So I really struggled with the concept of surrender, of devotion for that reason. And then I discovered spirituality and tantra, and the concept of your higher self came into my awareness. And that I liked. I was like, oh, I can surrender to the godliness in me.
mm,
I can see that there's like an inner goddess, there's an inner higher self, a part of me, a sliver of source, if you will, that I can get behind. And that kind of opened my door into the world of surrender and seeing that possibility and giving my life, giving my power to something greater. And over time, I healed my relationship to religion and Jesus and authority to a degree. Um, and that's where I feel like now it's like, yeah, God's my homie and he can hold my shit better than I can. So I'm just going to let it go. You know what I mean? Like God's plan is better than my plan. And like
mhm,
that has been shown to me time and time and time again. And rather than resist that truth, what if I could find that in my own body? Because I think that that's the other thing too, that a lot of people kind of cop out with like God. They're like, oh, well, I prayed, so I checked the box. It's in
mhm,
God's hands now, which to a degree, sure, like it depends on what's going on, right? Like
mhm,
there are some things that are within that you are more of a like it's a co-creation, right? Like to me, in any given moment, we are co-creating with a higher source that we also can access in our own bodies. And yeah, so I forgot where I was going with this, but yeah,
that's
I'll
okay.
just
I
I'll
know
pause there.
it spurs a
I just threw a
question. No,
lot
it
there.
spurs a question for me of like how, getting in tune with that body or the feeling that highest self or godliness within ourselves instead of only in the mind or mental
Yeah.
arena. What worked for you?
Yeah, so I remembered what I was going to say too, or where I was going. I was
Okay, cool.
talking about like copping out, right? Like we can
Mm-hmm.
say I prayed, so like it's all good, but that's not really how it works a lot of the time because we are again co-creating. So it's like, how can I continue to not just like give it to God and say, cool, you got it now. How can I also be devotional to the path that God is laying out before me and not just like, say you've got it? Because we have, free will and we want to learn and to grow. And we can't do that if we just give someone else all of the power, right? Like we
Mm-hmm.
also get to be empowered with the godliness in us. So, to answer your question, what is work for me in finding God in my body? Honestly, um, there's been a few things. So, finding Tantra was huge, obviously, because that's when I started to really get in touch with desire and my sexuality and my sensuality, which are all vehicles to be more embodied and to
Mm-hmm.
invite God into the body because so many of us learn that our sexuality, sensuality, naked bodies are bad, wrong, shameful, dangerous, sinful, whatever. And so we learn about our bodies and we start to interact with our bodies when we come of age behind closed doors, in the dark, trying to get it over with as fast as
Long
possible.
showers.
Long
Yeah.
shot, hiding the evidence, like stifling our expression,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't realize that we're carrying that shame into our adulthood. And also, this life force energy is deeply spiritual, it's deeply godly. which is hard to believe for a lot of us because many of us are conditioned from a young age to believe again that sexuality is sinful or it's only okay within a certain parameters that doesn't really fall into a very practical modern approach. And so when you start to reorient spirituality and sexuality and see that they're deep allies, your whole life can change. Like, how can this energy not be deeply spiritual if it's the energy that God used to literally make us? Like, we're
Mhm,
all
mm,
here because two people decided to have sex. Like, this is by God's design. And it's my belief, like conspiracy theorist here, that we've been told otherwise by mostly religion, but also, this has been um, perpetuated by the government and by media, etc. But they've taught us to be afraid of this part of ourselves because if we're afraid of it, then we're not going to go near it, and then we're
mm,
not going to master it, and then we're going to be disempowered. Like, what better way to make people, disempowered than by making them afraid of the very energy that brought them into this
mm,
world and is like the vehicle for creation in our world. In Tantra, they say that every sexual interaction is procreative in nature. So self-pleasure, non-penetrative sex, like any type of sexual intimacy or intimacy where you're connecting to this life force energy is procreative in nature. So even if you're not intentionally trying to create a living, breathing baby, you have the free will to harness that energy and direct it to other parts of your life or the world that you're wanting to see shift, change, creation, evolution in.
yeah. I've just been experiencing a little bit of that lately. Like last night, I was like, "Whoa!" I was right after we had sex. I burst into tears, and I was
Oh,
like,
so good.
I'm like, why? This is so deep." And then I'm like, "I'm not." He's like, "I'm here. I'm safe. You're safe." I'm like, "I know it's not that." And I'm like, "This is good. I promise." This feels so connected. Um, I guess where was I going to go with that? Um, Okay, yeah, desires. Like, so do you think that those desires that we have within us are like little nudges or whispers from our higher self if we're going through it like with a curiosity lens, or how to tell, is this coming from like my higher self, or is it like more egoic, or is the egoic even like a bad thing
Yeah.
necessarily? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. It's like, what do I do with this hedonistic part of myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And again, it's an interesting place to be in because a lot of us, and I think especially women, have grown up um being taught that our desires are selfish or wrong and to kind of placate and to people please, etc. And so we have this inherent like resistance or shame to our desires at the get-go. And the thing about desires is that they're layered, right? So I'm all about following your desires, but to me, there's a curiosity around what is your relationship to your desires? Do you actually have a relationship to your desires? Because, some crackhead could say, I'm desiring an 8 ball. And it's
Yeah, yeah.
like, cool. What is the deeper longing
Mm,
beneath that desire? And what is your relationship to that deeper longing? And this is something that I'm feeling pulled to actually write a book about because it's been a
mm,
big part of my life. Like, on one end, for me to get to a space where I could actually have a relationship with my desire and not be a slave to them and not ignore or suppress them. And then also seeing my husband and his relationship to desire. Was an alcoholic. I mean, he is an alcoholic. They say, like, you're not like an alcoholic and then not an alcoholic, but he's not like he's, recovery. He's
mm-hmm.
and that's like a lifelong path. And to see kind of his path with desire and where that's led him and his process of finding out, oh, actually, my desire for different substances or different behaviors was a desire for control. Which was a desire to uh, escape certain feelings that I never had a safe space to express or to touch or to go near in my home growing up. And so, to me, your desires are this ping that's like, hey, pay attention,
Mm.
I have something to say. And generally, there's almost always at least 1 or 2 layers deeper that you can go from that surface
Mhm.
level desire. Your desires are very rarely about the thing that you think that you want, it's about something deeper.
Yeah. Like, maybe the way it's gonna make me feel or the way I think it's gonna make me feel on the other side of it once I
Yeah.
get the thing.
If I have this thing, then I'll be okay. If I
Yeah.
have this thing, then everything will be solved. And that's where you become a slave to your desire because you then become obsessed with it. And once you get it, it's rarely enough. There's always
Mm.
going to be another, like, you're going to keep wanting it until you get to that deeper layer. So that's one of the common pitfalls, is becoming a slave to your desires. The other is the avoiding and the suppressing of the desires, which we also see a lot of. And we see a lot of that in like the discipline world, like the highly disciplined. And like, don't get me wrong, I think discipline has a place. I think that being diligent and consistent is important. But I like it better when it's coming from a more devotional place, because then it's connected to the deeper longing. There's like a heart to it. Because when we're just, suppressing our surface level desires, we're ignoring God. We're ignoring that deeper well within us, and it's leading us farther away from where we actually need to go, or where God actually wants to take us, or your higher self or spirit or the universe, whatever you believe in. I say God now because it's just the easiest thing to say, but
Mhm.
I wouldn't have said that like 4 or 5 years ago. So, um anyways, the longer that you stay on the wrong train, the more expensive it is to get home. So it's
Mm.
good to just notice the desire and have a relationship with it, get intimate with it. Not all of your desires are meant to be satisfied in that moment. A lot of them just want to be understood.
Yeah. It kinda makes me think because I feel like we're in vision board season, right?
Vision board season,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
January.
Yeah, so it's like, those manifestations, I guess asking yourself, is that trying to serve, like, one of those desires or, getting clear on it? I guess, yeah, going a little bit deeper on the manifestations, or I can also see where the manifesting thing could be a way to control or an
Yeah.
attempt to control, or pouring so much energy into it. Um,
I have another thought on this, if
yeah,
you don't mind.
yeah, go
I
for it.
also want to be clear too that I'm not a no to frivolous desire,
Mhm.
or like, I like shiny things. I drive a Porsche. I love my little Louis Vuitton bag over there.
Yeah.
All of that. So it's not to say that you can't have the things that you want that maybe your ego is stroked by.
Mhm.
Um but I like to say that there's a possibility to have something called ego on purpose,
Hmm.
right? And there's a reason that you want the things that you want. So let yourself want those things. But again, get curious about, the deeper desire there. And the story that I like to tell about this is deeply related. I mean, I have several stories about this, but one story that I guess I'll share now, sex magic, right? Sex magic based on the law of attraction. I can go more into what that is, but I felt guilty for a long time when I was doing sex magic if I was trying to manifest a partner.
Mm.
I thought, well, I should be using my sex magic to, I should send all of that energy to create more world peace and free all of the slave children in the world. And, which is true. And I will also send my sex magic there. But to me, it felt selfish. And also, I really judged my longing for a partner. I was
Mhm.
like, this is me being needy and being, like, I should just need me. Like, I shouldn't need, like, yeah, it'll happen when it's meant to happen. Like, I just felt so judgmental of myself for wanting that. I was
Mhm.
like, I'm an independent woman, and like, I should be using this energy for better things, quote unquote. But in reality, my relationship has added so much good to the world. It's made me a better teacher, a better facilitator. It's been evidence for, I don't know, so many people of what's possible in relationship, in devotion. We're creating life. I think that that's one of the most powerful things that you can do today, is like create life and raise those children really
Mhm.
well to be loving, kind people. Um, so yeah, at the end of the day, two people that are really behind a mission, like, can do so much more. 1 + 1 = 3, right? So that's our motto.
Mhm.
So actually allowing myself to want the thing that I want has so astronomically increased my capacity to make impact in this world. Um, and that wouldn't be there if I didn't finally say, okay, I need to trust this longing and just go there and like let
Mhm.
myself want it and let myself see that there's a higher purpose running through me related to that desire that I wasn't even sure of yet. Like I had an inkling, but the way that my relationship has impacted my life and the people around me's life and my business's life and what's possible is pretty insane. I would not have known that before. So sometimes there's this like, I've got to kind of like blindly trust my
Mhm.
desire to a degree in trusting that God put that desire there for a reason as well. So it's this balance. It's this balance of self awareness and calibration.
Yeah, I feel like I'm trying to calibrate myself with this new year in a way. For sure. Cause I'm like, okay, Jesus, God, take the wheel. But then I have moments where I feel like I'm prying my fingers off the steering wheel.
Yep.
And then as you were speaking, the thing, like just the longing came up for it. It sounds like giving ourselves permission to have the desire. But I know for me, I feel like sometimes my longing for something feels like it's prolonging it. Does that, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like the longing or the feeling of not having the relationship or that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong, but that sounds a little bit like that pitfall of like becoming a slave to the desire. Like when I have this thing, then I'll be okay. And I'm kind of
Mhm.
just like, oh, I need it, which I validate. Like I've been there a lot, So I don't want to discount that. And sometimes you just got to be like, yes. I accept the fact that this desire is so freaking big in my heart and I'm not going to avoid it. I'm going to fully let it be there and feel that coursing through my body. And sometimes that's the medicine. And sometimes the medicine is saying, all right, enough is enough. It's in your hands, God. So I'm going to chill out. Like it's on you. If you want me to have this, you're going to make it happen. And if you don't, then please take that desire out of my heart.
Mm, mhm.
So,
Yeah, I did some, Neville Goddard. I was like, gotta release or what felt like an attachment to it, right? And then,
yeah.
saying goodnight. I was like, "Okay, if I'm acting as if I already have the relationship that I want, okay, what would I do? How would I go about and be in my world?"
Yeah.
And so, like, "Good night, babe," to my pillow one night.
Cute.
And then I also wanted to meet someone organically, and I, kind
And
of
you
pursued that. Yeah,
did.
I did. And I will say, like, yours and Andrew's relationship has definitely been, like, inspiring
Thank
to
you.
witness, and I'm like, "That! I want some of that."
Yep.
Um, and it's this start of this new relationship has also been, like, super vulnerable and scary as fuck. So it's like, I feel like there's a, bit of can we accept or receive, and maybe we can speak to the art of receiving more, because if we get the thing and then that also scares us, we don't wanna run away from it, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's a huge, huge piece, the art of receiving. And that's something that I've also deeply struggled with in the early stages of Andrew and I's relationship. It was like the other shoe's gonna drop. I just know it. I know it. I'm scanning the environment. I'm looking for all of the ways that he could fuck up and waiting for them to happen to the point that it was like deeply impacting our relationship. I ended up having someone on my podcast and we talked about relationship anxiety. And that really helped a lot. I think that a lot of the receiving has to do with healing your nervous system. Receiving is something that is deeply vulnerable. And for those of us that have always had to be a certain way to receive, or have provided everything for ourselves and had to work for it, it can feel uncomfortable that someone can just love us for who we are, which is pretty crazy. So there's lots to do there around self love and around worthiness, and also just relaxing your nervous
Mhm.
system and expanding your capacity for love, which beautifully, like that healing can happen in the relationship. And that's really where it happens. Like it's almost hard to fully heal that shit out of relationship.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, rather than sabotaging this relationship, how can I be really vulnerable, open, and honest about what's going on and use this as a healing opportunity?
Yeah, we've definitely been having some open and deep, vulnerable conversations. I've had my Nikes on my entire life. I want to put on my slippers and stay.
Yes. I love that
Oh, yeah, but
analogy.
it's been like walking to get coffee with Boudreaux the other day. I am safe. I am safe, and
Yep.
yeah, and like the worthiness piece too. I'm worthy of this relationship. And we both had kind of like the hypervigilance or like
Yeah.
that's he's actually said that exact same phrase of like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yep.
And it's been beautiful. Yeah, I feel like I even before like started this relationship that yeah, it's like I've done a lot of work, I've done a lot of play, and then but you
Yeah.
really get to test that shit whenever you're in a relationship, and it's like okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's by God's design that
Hmm.
the healing happens in relationships. So much of it happens in relationship. Obviously, there are things that you can do in between, but I think that it's like 10% of the healing happens outside of the relationship, and then it's like, okay, and here's your chance to integrate and to test all of the things that you've been learning, not in relationship. So
Hmm.
I'm not someone that's like, you have to wait, 6 months or whatever to get into another relationship. But I also think it's important that you do a good assessment and a conscious uncoupling and just some sort of, what's the word? Audit of the
Hmm.
relationship at the end to really
Mm.
see like what was my part in this,
Oh,
because
for
even if you think
sure.
you didn't play a part in it, you did. And the book Conscious Uncoupling is really great at any stage, like even if you're going through a breakup or if you went through a breakup 5 years ago, but you keep doing falling into the same
Hmm.
type sorts of patterns, it can be really helpful.
Yeah, the last longer term relationship that I left, I was like, okay, how could I have communicated better? How could I have shown up better? And all of those things.
Where am I enabling? That's a
Yeah.
really big one, I think, for people that think that they weren't the problem. It's like,
Mm.
oh, I enabled that behavior. Like I create like a big one with my ex was we would get into these fights and I would always be like, let me just fix this. What do we need to do? Da, da, da. And then this resentment would grow that I was always the one repairing things. But the truth is the reason that I did that wasn't because I was a good partner and I wanted to come to repair. It was because I was so uncomfortable sitting in the
Mm.
uncertainty of, oh my God, are we going to break up? Oh my God, does he hate me now? Like I have to fix things and make it better really quick. And it was like, oh, that's my piece. Like I am really uncomfortable with conflict and I'm really uncomfortable with the idea of being abandoned and I'm really uncomfortable with the idea of losing this vehicle of love even if I'm meant for something better,
Mhm.
and do I believe that I'm worthy of something better?
Mhm.
So that was a big piece for me, is like enabling.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if there were any, like, relationship or examples or stories, just period, from your life of times where you didn't get the desire, but something, like, greater showed up.
Yeah. I mean, there's been relational examples. There's also been a lot of just I think like the best example of this is like a more professional example. Well, I'll tie the loop on that relationship and then maybe share the
Yeah.
professional example, because that man that I was in a relationship with was the man that I was with before Andrew, and we talked about marriage and we talked about we were like we were getting a house together, like we were in contract to buy one. And it was devastating ending that relationship because I was like, "Oh my God, I was so close." I was, like, so close to my happily ever after. I was so close to marriage and becoming a mom and, like, having land and, like, all of the things I ever wanted. And so the hardest part of that breakup, it wasn't just, "I'm losing this person that I love." It was also, "I'm losing the vision of my life
Mm.
that I had become deeply committed to, that I was so close to coming to fruition." And I questioned it for months. I mean, I would have questioned it for longer, but Andrew came into my life and I started to see, oh shit, like, okay, here's the better thing that, was
Mm.
meant to come. And we are so deeply aligned. And I think that honestly, my ex and I could have worked it out and it would have been okay. But I think that we both would have been sacrificing and it would have been a rockier, harder journey.
Mhm.
Um, I think that we both had to like trust our intuition in that moment and kind of just go separate ways. But that's that example. I can share another example too if you
Sure.
want.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like also, like, there's a lot of grief in that vision
Yeah.
or those things that we've set our sights on.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah.
And then also it brings up like a level of, for some reason, I wrote down the word choosing. Is it like choosing at some point, and it's like staying to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of discomfort that comes up when we know deep down what's the better path for us.
Mm.
And it feels really illogical or scary. Yeah, yeah, like, it's 'cause this guy, like, he up until that point, he loved me better than any other man in my life. He was an incredible partner in so many ways. And there was such a big part of me that was afraid that that was like, it can't get better than this because I didn't have any evidence of that.
Mhm.
You know, I didn't have any evidence of it being any better than that. But the one thing that helped was that I realized, well, before him, I didn't know it could be this good. So maybe it
Mhm.
could be even better. And so after we broke up, I spent a few months really kind of figuring out, like, what do I actually want? Like, do I want that vision of marriage and kids and land and all of that because that's what I was raised around and that's my conditioning? Or is it a genuine desire? And so I spent a lot of time exploring other types of relationships, other communities, different types of dynamics, different relating styles. And I came out the other side very clear that no, I want life partnership and deep commitment. And I also want a level of openness that might not be like, I still wanted a sort of non-traditional relationship, but I wanted life partnership and commitment. And once I had that clarity, that's when I sat down and I said, okay, like, I don't know if what I want exists in a person. I have a pretty, like, almost contradictory list of qualities that I desire, but let me just write them all down and like say, all right, God, this is my order. If you can fulfill it, awesome. I'm going to give you 6 months. If he's not in my life in 6 months, then I'll reassess and I might lower my standards. If you will. People have different perspectives, right? Some people are like, write the whole list and be as specific as possible. And other people are like, don't be too specific and you
Mhm.
might miss something that's actually meant for you. I think I probably landed somewhere in between. But anyways, like 2 weeks later, Andrew and I started dating,
Wow.
and then we got engaged literally at the 6-month point. I know I said to God, "I've got
Mhm.
6 months and then I'll reassess." Like, it's not like I'm giving up on love if this doesn't happen in 6 months, but I'm gonna maybe reassess my vision. But no, it worked out.
God said, "All right, bet."
Yeah, it was like,
Um,
"Thank you for finally being courageous enough to fucking
yeah.
want what you want. God." This was the
Oh.
lesson. This is why it took this long because you were so resistant to your desire.
I feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also kind of shows me too that those relationships that even come to a completion are are there for a reason, right? Or a
Yeah.
season. I know for me, I had someone reach out and they didn't really know about the beginning of this new relationship and say that they were not gonna rekindle anything with me. And I was like, "What?"
Can't if you can't
Yeah.
even if you want to. Eh.
There's a piece of that, and then also it's like but he also showed me a level of, care or attention
Yeah.
or standard. It raised my bar, and so I was like, "You still did that regardless." However, I've got
Did you
this
tell him
beautiful start
that?
I did.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Let's do more of that.
Yeah.
Like, honor the ending of the relationship,
Mhm.
like, harvest it together, like, "Hey, not aligned, but this is what I learned from you, thank you."
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah, I love it. It's been a ride.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the courage thing. That's definitely something I value, and then it's like, okay, put it to the test in this, speaking into
Yeah.
the vulnerabilities and the fears of abandonment and, like, how or betrayal or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and everyone's different, like, there are certain tools and mind tricks that I do on myself to, um, have the courage, right? Another example this was the other example I was gonna give of having the courage to do the thing that feels a little illogical, um, what so I'll share the trick as I get into the
Mhm.
story, but basically, I used to be a digital nomad, and I taught English online, mostly I did some freelance writing, etcetera. And I was living in places that had a really low cost of living. So I was making like 20, 30K a year, pretty low. But I was also living in places where like I had, a cute studio apartment that I was paying like $300 for, 350 for. And like all of my living expenses came out to like $1,000. So it was like
Mhm.
for the month. So it worked, right? But it was also a deeply lonely chapter of my life. Like on the surface, I'm on Instagram, I'm in these foreign countries, getting immersed in culture, doing cool things, but I had no community. I was very alone. And I ended up going to LA to see this guy that it's kind of a random story, but we sort of dated for like a second and he flew me out to LA, which was crazy at the time. Um but I saw his life and I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy." Like, he grew up in a lot of wealth.
Mm.
He had a company. He was surrounded by all of these people that also grew up around a lot of wealth. And again, it was in LA and I was like, this is like a really interesting lifestyle and I also really like it here, but it would never work. I didn't grow up in money, so like I couldn't make it work in LA. Just like would it happen? The cost of living is so much higher than I'm used to. There's just no way I could possibly make this happen. And also it didn't really make I didn't have any reason to be in LA. Like the only thing was like something is telling me I should be
Mm.
here, but I have no reason. I don't like, and then that guy and I stopped dating. Like, I didn't really have any connections there. It just didn't make any sense. But it kept coming to me like,
Mm.
you need to move there. You need to move there. Like, God was like, that's where you need to be, babe. You need to get your ass in LA. And I was like, I'm terrified. I have no idea how that would work. I don't have the resources to make that happen right now. But I trusted it and I was like, all right, let's see if we can figure this out. So the trick that I used at that time was I'm going to go for 3 months.
Mm.
I'm going to go for 3 months because I can max out my credit cards but basically I was like, okay, like I can put 15K on my credit card, 20K, and I've done that before where I've like put
Mhm.
a lot on my credit card and I've always been able to pay it back. So I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it 3 months. And if I'm still swimming and I figure it out in those 3 months, I'll stay. And if not, I'll just go back to what I'm doing. Like, I think that that's a really powerful tool that I often remind clients of is like, what's the worst case scenario? It doesn't work and you go back to what you're doing now. Like, it's not like you're going to crash and burn and like end up homeless. Like that's very unlikely. So that's what I did. And I ended up like being like, okay, if I'm gonna move to LA, I'm gonna have to get a normal person job, like at a 9 to 5. So I applied for this at the time. Again, I studied fashion and communications. I was already studying Tantra and I was in that world, but it
Mhm.
hadn't quite clicked that I should be doing it professionally yet. So I applied for several jobs that were like in that fashion communications and one was it. It was so amazing because they also had a philanthropic edge. Like all of the brands that they represented had some sort of way that they gave back. It's like this is it. I am meant for this job. There's no way this isn't it. I got to the final rounds of interviews and they turned me down.
Mm.
And I was like devastated. But in reality, what ended up happening is I ended up getting a bunch of weird kind of side hustle jobs. And it was in that space of having all these side hustles that I had the capacity to begin exploring Tantra and have the
Mm.
space to actually build out what I was really meant to do. So again, it was one of those unanswered prayers that directed me in the right way. And then obviously I made it the 3 months and then I made it 6 months. And then I started to see, oh my God, I'm so glad that I'm in LA when I'm starting my Tantra career because this place is filled with the ideal
Yeah.
client.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's that story.
That's cool. Yeah, I definitely feel like God will speak in whispers or, nudges or whispers until they become yells, right?
Yeah, it's like
So
a
like when
feather, a car horn honking, and then a car crash. And I also had a very similar like, you need to leave LA, and I made it till the car crash pretty much. I was very stubborn about leaving LA, but anyway.
I had that happen when I moved into a place. I was fixated on moving to the east side, and I'm like, I want to write, and like I had a little den. I want to walk to all these like cool little spots,
Yeah.
and then I moved in, and there's like this roach infestation. Like they came alive, and I was like, I can't do that. I couldn't sleep, and so moved out, put my stuff in storage, and then I ended up going like on a tour and being able to bankroll a lot of money. So it like worked out in my favor, but at the time I was
Yeah.
like, ah.
Yeah, sometimes shit's gotta fall apart for it to fall
Yeah.
together, and that's one of those moments where it's like, "All right, God, you're telling me something, and I don't want to listen, but I think I have to at this point.
Yeah, and, like, it's also even, like, the heartbreak I was feeling for that other person in October, or yeah, I guess it was more August. Yeah, August, September, October, like, beginning of that.
Months ago.
And
Yeah.
so then I was just like, "Okay," I was really set on the vision of him as my person, and then when this happened, I'm like, "Wow, the level of depth and intimacy and connection that I'm feeling now didn't have there." So
Yeah.
it has, like, unfolded to be pretty nice and juicy so far. I'm gonna look at my questions real quick to see if there's anything that I wanna touch on. Um, mm, mm, mm. Any myths that you wanna dismantle around devotion?
I talked a bit about devotion. Okay, I have one. I have
Okay.
one. So, one thing that I like to talk about with devotion as it relates to Tantra is that it's a bit different. And I prefer the Tantric lens of devotion more than other lenses because when you look at most religions, Eastern, Western, most of them place devotion on an external deity or concept. And oftentimes you also have to communicate to God through
Mm.
like a pastor or
Mhm.
minister or rabbi or whatever. Not exclusively, but generally speaking, there is this emphasis on devotion to this external
Mm.
deity. Whereas in Tantra, what I love is it's more about finding God again in your own body. So seeing the sacredness within yourself. So there's a lot more devotion that's focused internally on yourself, self love. Tantra is about finding God in your own body and then allowing that awareness to radiate out into your world around you. So can you see God in your beloved? That's hot
Mm.
too, right?
Mhm.
That's a fun little
Mm.
game to play. And it can also be a really challenging game to play when they're also human. Like everyone
Yeah.
has God and human within them. Can you see God in the world around you? Can you find God in your pain, in your sadness, in death? Can you like stop looking for God in the sky and outside of you and like lick her off the floor? Like
Mm.
that's what I really love about, devotion in the tantric lens is that it is more focused on the human experience. So many religious and spiritual lenses are really almost wanting to like transcend
Mm.
the human
Mhm.
experience, like transcend samadhi bliss, like, which I've had moments like that, which are amazing. But also, the more that I've had those moments and connected them deeply into my body, the more that I've experienced life itself from that lens. And
Mhm.
so, more of the human experience becomes not just blissful, but also acceptable, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like there's just way less resistance and a lot more compassion and love for ourselves and for the people around us. So yeah, it's like you chose this human experience for a reason. Yes, God is with you. Um, but you get to be here and like really harvest it.
Mhm.
And it's not always easy. A lot of times I feel lost in the sauce, but
Yeah, I feel like I definitely had those moments or I wanted and when I guess more became, ugh, when I first became on this, spiritual journey, I feel, like, so nauseous right now.
yeah.
I, um, I wanted to transcend out of it. Yeah, I'm like and I think it was 'cause, like, I wanted to maybe not feel as much because I guess
Yeah.
to drop in to my humanness, I'd have to and I feel deeply, and I would guess I was a little bit afraid of all that would bubble up or was in the backlog per
Yeah.
se. Um,
We're like, "Ouchie, human,
yeah,
ouch. Don't like
yeah,
don't like
yeah.
to cry the pain." But again, as I shared at the beginning of the session, in my pain today, in my tears, I was like, "Oh, but it feels good." Like if I can really
Mhm,
embrace it, it's like, "Ooh, this is deep." Like
mhm,
there is an aliveness to this pain that is unique.
mhm.
Um and powerful and precious, and there's something to harvest here and I'm curious about it. Um Yeah, and I would rather go through life really here than trying to like escape all the time. Because
Yeah.
it's like the same thing that people are like doing all these drugs to escape. So is that what you want to do with all your meditation,
Mhm.
or like what's the intention there? Not to say like meditation's a very powerful tool and I love it and I literally meditated today, but it's like I think that a lot of people go into it like I want to transcend.
Yeah,
I want, you
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's so many different types of meditation too,
There
like
are.
with eyes open, walking, reading, journaling. I mean,
Yeah,
life itself can be a meditation in
exactly.
a way. I like too what you said about the looking and finding God and the, beloved and the people around us. Although sometimes I find it challenging when it's my upstairs elephant neighbor. And I've been trying to like, she's
Uh,
walking around like she's angry at life, I feel. And so I'm like, maybe she needs a prayer. But sometimes I still like bang on. I'm
yeah, it's
like,
balance.
it's, yeah.
But I
I'm like,
love
you
that.
need,
I
yeah.
love that you send her that like that's
I'm
hard to
trying to
do.
rewrite, reroute to that default.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a it's a beautiful practice. It's a really cool practice to do that, to
Hmm.
see like, okay, this is a divine being and they're struggling and
Yeah.
what can I do to support them
Hmm.
energetically, physically, whatever.
Yeah. And I also still have visions of her moving out.
I
No.
bless. Here.
So I kind of like this question here. It was fun. If God had a dating profile, what would the bio say?
Oh, I saw this. I thought about it. What did I say? Oh, I'll be your everything. I'll be your everything. Because yeah, I think that God shapeshifts for people. You know, I think that
Mm.
God's the ultimate. We talk about the erotic blueprints and it's like God's a shapeshifter for sure. So yeah, I'll be your everything, which is hot. And I think that that's something too that I told Andrew at the beginning of their relationship. I was like, I'm going to be the mother of your children, but I'm also going to be your whore. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's it's I think that that's a big part of what's beautiful about being alive today is that we have so much space and permission to explore all of the different archetypes within us. Um, and yeah, I appreciate that. Like we haven't been able to be both a whore and a Madonna and a
Mm.
business badass,
Yeah, the
you know.
and.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be an or. Like, can we live in the and a little bit?
Yeah, and then more of your authentic self can come online, which to me is the greatest gift that you can give yourself and the world.
Hmm. I agree. I'm like, I don't know where else to go. What do you got? What else you got?
What do you got? What do you got? I mean, I thought
I'm
this
like,
was great. I
yeah,
mean, I don't have much to say except for good
yeah.
job.
God.
Did it.
Yeah, we made it.
We went in like,
Feeling
all
like
right, we're both nauseous. We're both, but I thought this was awesome. I was
me
like, this is
too.
fun. I feel
This
better.
is.
That's a cool thing too, right? Like, I think that like, this is kind of
Mm.
related, right? Like, so many of us resist purpose or
Oh.
resist, like, we're like, oh, you know, like you say no to, but it's like actually almost every time that I do work when I'm not feeling well, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's because something happened in my life and I'm sad or upset or triggered or whatever, or if it's because like I'm physically unwell for like, I would say 80 to 90% of the
Mm-hmm.
time, I feel better on the other side. I legitimately feel better after this. I'm really glad that I came today and
Yeah,
like
me
we got to
too.
have this conversation. I've got like one more thing on my calendar today and I'm like, okay.
Almost there.
It's also weird. I do calls like once a week in my business and I'm almost like maybe I should be doing more calls more days of the week because I finish my call days and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I did that. Like it's such a good distraction from like
Mm-hmm.
my pregnancy symptoms. So, but then other days it's not, you know?
Yeah.
So like there's other days where like I'm like, I would probably feel better if I went to lunch with my friends, but I literally cannot get my shit together. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
cancel.
I
It's
love,
balance.
yeah, and I love that you said that too, because I feel like that's something that I used to fixate on. If it's not a hell yeah, it's a no. But like today, I'm feeling nauseous. I'm like, oh, okay, it's not a hell yeah, and I'm glad that we did it.
Yeah.
And speaking to that too. All right, sister. Well, I'm good if you're good, or if you want to share anything else, drop it
Oh,
in.
maybe I can share a little bit
Yeah,
about things that I have
go
for
for
people
it.
where to
Yeah,
find me.
absolutely.
I'm sure you put this in the show notes,
Hmm.
but I'm on Instagram at Talk Tantra To Me. I have a podcast, Talk Tantra To Me. It's seasonal right now, so not a ton. I'm about to start a new season, so there'll be some new episodes, but there's like over 200. So if you're new, you'll have plenty to chew on. I do retreats here in Austin, Texas. The Tantra Love
Yeah.
Retreat is an amazing co-ed container. So single men, women, and couples are welcome to apply. I have a book called Sacred Sex Ed. We talked about it a little bit at the
It's
beginning,
so
but
good.
yeah, it's a sex education that you probably didn't have, but that we all desperately need. One that is honest, empowering, and pleasure-based. It's not like when you think sacred sex ed, it's gonna be all these, like, diagrams of, like, pussies and anatomy. It's not like that. It's really about having deeply fulfilling intimacy. So, yeah, recommend that. And then what I'm most passionate about in this season of life is inspiring women to step into orgasmic leadership, reclaim their dark feminine, and seduce the world into a greater good. And that path is through the Pleasure Priestess, which is a year-long mastermind for women stepping into to their devotion to the tantric path, whether that's for professional reasons or personal reasons. It's a beautiful, beautiful space.
It is. It's so beautiful. I went back for a second round.
She loved it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kristen beautifully is taking more leadership in that space. So I'm excited to see how that evolves. But yeah, it's online and in person, and it's
Yeah.
like deeply embodied. It's not just like calls. We're like doing real ritual and
I
work,
love the
so.
rituals. When's the next one start?
It starts in the end of April.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, so we'll like officially kick things off in May, but kind of the enrollment
Cool.
is end of
Well, you got a
April.
couple months, peeps.
But early bird is the best time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
get in early and you save some cash.
Slide in. Slide right on in. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.